Good afternoon, friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. I have been wanting to make ciabatta rolls in like forever, and today is finally the day. Ciabatta is a light, airy bread with an open crumb. It's wonderful for dipping into olive oil. It's great for sandwiches, and it is perfect for panini. And I am going to turn at least 2 of my ciabatta rolls into panini. So that will be fun. And I'm just gathering all of my ingredients here. And fortunately, the recipe I'm following, which I will link in the description box below, is written in grams. So it will be very easy to just measure out the ingredients. I just need 1 bowl. Zero out my scale, water, then I need yeast. I'm using active dry, but the recipe calls for instant yeast. And I know my active dry yeast is good, so I don't have to proof it first. Then I need olive oil, diamond crystal kosher salt. Give this a quick stir. Zero out my scale yet again. Then I need flour. You could use bread flour here. I'm using just ordinary all-purpose flour. Ciabatta is made with what's called a high hydration dough. So it's a very wet dough. Let me clean up here and then we can mix the dough. I had brought some sugar out in case I wanted to proof the active dry yeast, but I really don't need the sugar and the recipe doesn't call for it. And I'm going to use my Danish dough whisk to mix the dough, but you could just use a spoon. And I'm going to mix this just until all of the flour is moistened and a shaggy dough develops. Now, this is a no-knead dough, but it does require an initial 30-minute rest. And then every 30 minutes or so, you do a technique called stretch and fold, and you do that 4 times. And I figure during the rests in between the stretch and folds, we can tackle some house and garden projects. And my dough is nicely mixed. And it is a very wet, shaggy dough, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to cover my bowl and let the dough hydrate for 30 minutes. Meantime, let's head out to the garden. I want to harvest my basil because I'm going to make pesto, which I will use on the panini. We had a devastating storm here last week when 11 inches of rain fell in just 24 hours. I will talk more about the storm a little later. Meantime, everything in my garden is thriving. I'm going to get all of these leaves cleaned up, and then we will either make pesto, or if it's time, we will do the first stretch and fold. These leaves smell just fantastic. I love the scent of basil. It has sort of an anisey aroma. But it's a very sweet aroma at the same time. Now, I've seen people who go ahead and use the flowers in pesto, and I'm sure that's perfectly fine to do because they are certainly edible. At least I think they are edible. But I'm going to remove the flowers. From what I've read, once basil goes to flour, the leaves can be slightly bitter. But I've eaten pesto that has gone to flour. I've eaten pesto leaves from plants that have gone to flour, and that pesto was still absolutely exquisite. And besides, I grew all of this pesto, and I don't want it to go to waste. Now, all of my stems will go into the compost. I'm going to give these leaves a very good rinse, and then I will blot them dry, and we will put them in the refrigerator. I like to put a paper towel in the bag before I store my basil leaves. And I'm only going to store them overnight. Second batch. I think I need a bigger towel. And here it is. See if I can do this without spilling all of the leaves. And I want one more paper towel in here. And this can go into the refrigerator. And there's my timer telling me that the ciabatta dough is ready for its first stretch and fold, just as soon as I clean this up. And I have just washed my hands so that my ciabatta will not smell like basil. Although that wouldn't be a terrible thing, would it? Now, to stretch and fold, you need damp fingers. Either damp fingers or oiled fingers. I'm going to use water here. And then simply take an end of the dough, lift up, and fold the dough over on itself. And the reason you need damp fingers is because this dough is so wet that if you were to use dry fingers, you wouldn't be able to lift the dough. It would just stick to your fingers. And what we're doing is building some structure in the dough. We are helping strands of gluten to form. And we are to do this 4 times. That was 1. That's 2. And that was 3. Or was that 4? Maybe it was 3. I'll do one more time. And then we can recover the bowl. And in another 30 minutes, we will do another stretch and fold. And during those 30 minutes, I'm going to stay busy. I'm going to run up to the upper garden to see if there are some zinnias that I can harvest. Actually, it's starting to rain. I'm going to go practice piano for 30 minutes. Hey Siri, set timer for 30 minutes. Well, that was a short but very sweet practice session. And it is time for another stretch and fold. Now, I'm the kind of person who would absolutely forget how many stretch and fold segments I've done. So I have some cocktail skewers here. Here's one, indicating my first stretch and fold. And where's my water? Here it is. On to the second stretch and fold. Oh, already this dough is beginning to develop some body. This is kind of fun to do. Now it's this high hydration that creates all of the wonderful bubbles that create the open crumb for ciabatta. And that makes ciabatta so great for, well, as I said, for dipping into good quality extra virgin olive oil, just as an appetizer or a snack, and for panini. And I think during this next wait period, we're going to go ahead and make the basil pesto, which I will need for the panini. This dough is becoming less sticky now. I don't have to wet my fingers at every fold. And I see some nice bubbles forming, which means my yeast is very active. There we are, cover. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands and then we can make the basil pesto. Oh, and I need to put a skewer over here indicating that I have done 2 stretch and folds. So I think I have everything I need for this pesto, including my food processor. I'm going to put Parmesan cheese in the pesto that I will use for the panini, but I will leave the cheese out for the pesto that I will freeze for winter use. Now let's go ahead and do all of it. I don't think I've ever made this much pesto before. I'm trying to save myself the effort of doing this in multiple batches, and I hope I don't live to regret that. Every leaf goes in. Okay. I'm going to grind these down first. Just have a couple of stubborn leaves here. The rest all cooperated. And now we can add almonds. You could use pine nuts here. Today, I feel like using almonds. And these are almonds that I buy from my beloved Tierra Farm. So they are organic and fair trade almonds. And what else do I want in here? You know what? I don't think this is going to make a whole heck of a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and add cheese and garlic. I still have all of that garlic that you and I grew together and harvested together. It's curing in my grow room. And one fine day, before too long, we will have to process all of that garlic. It's a big job. And I will really appreciate your company while I do the processing work. Time to add olive oil. I just finished off my bottle of EVOO. Let's have a taste. Actually, someone told me a little trick. Instead of using clean spoons every time I do a taste test, put whatever I'm testing on a spatula and then snatch a spoonful off the spatula. really wonderful, but I want more cheese. And a little salt, even though there's salt in the cheese. I don't think I like that spatula idea. I have plenty of clean spoons. So delicious. And to make it even deliciouser, no such word, I'm going to add a tiny splash of pure lemon juice. This is the good stuff. Oh, that hits the spot. That's what it needed. The brightness of the lemon. It was good before. It's beyond magnificent now. We can transfer this to a bowl. This pesto has such a fresh taste and such an exquisite aroma. Going to cover this and then pop it into the refrigerator, and it will be ready for our panini. And would you believe I forgot to set the timer after that last stretch and fold? I think it's been, I don't know, 10 minutes. Hey Siri, set timer for 20 minutes. And while we wait for those 20 minutes, I'm going to tackle some computer work. I'm just finishing my third stretch and fold here. And now, after I wash my hands, I'm going to do a load of laundry. I'm staying busy today. Okay, fourth and final stretch and fold. Look at how bubbly this is. Huge bubbles in here. And again, those bubbles are going to give us that beautiful open crumb. So this is sort of like, well, ciabatta is similar to a baguette in that respect. It's an open crumb bread. Now I have to double check my recipe here. We're supposed to let this rest for 1 hour, but I'm only going to let this rest for 30 minutes because I think this dough is ready. And in the meantime, I'm going to preheat my oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I need to prepare my baking tray. I'm going to dust it with flour. I have parchment lining this tray. And then I want to empty the dough onto the tray. I'm going to let gravity do the work here. Lightly flour the top. And then I want to form this into a rough rectangle. And I'm trying to be gentle here so I don't deflate the dough too much. I want as many air bubbles to remain as possible. A little more flour. I'm going to fold this dough over on itself. Very sticky dough. I think I'll use a plastic bench scraper here. So I want to cut this into 8 rolls. A little extra flour here for my scraper. I'm going to go, So these may not be the prettiest ciabatta rolls, but I think they will be mighty delicious. I think the first time you make something, Like for me, ciabatta, you just have to be brave. Be brave and trust that everything will work out just fine. My cat is at the kitchen door, so I'm going to have to excuse myself to let him in just a moment. Well, I'm going to have some very interestingly shaped ciabatta rolls. My cat just stuck his paw under the door, and my dog was right next to the door, and it scared my dog. Okay, Goldie, you can come in. Come on, there you go. Avery, you be nice. Okay, now I need to cover this, and so that the cling film does not stick to the ciabatta. Goldie, okay, now Goldie is playing with one of my cables here. Goldie, I'm going to spray the cling film lightly, and then flip it. Yes, Goldie. Okay, and I'm going to let this ciabatta proof for 30 minutes, and then we will bake it and see what we end up with. Okay, my rolls have been resting or proofing for 30 minutes. I'm just rereading this recipe, and it says, don't worry about the rolls not being perfect. And that's a good thing, because mine certainly are not. But we will see what happens in the oven. So I want to gently remove the cling film. I'm glad I greased it first. Okay, and then these go into the oven for 17 to 19 minutes. And while we wait for the rolls to finish baking, I'm going to rotate my laundry from the washing machine to the dryer. Wow, I'm very happy with how these turned out. They got a really nice oven spring. I mean, they really puffed up. So some of them are stuck together, but that's an easy fix. Look at this, just beautiful. Not perfectly shaped, but I don't mind in the least. Now, I do need to let these cool to room temperature before we can cut into one. But in the meantime, I need to put together tonight's dinner. And I'm not sure if I'm filming that or not. But tomorrow, you and I will cut into the ciabatta, and we will make panini. And I can't wait. So pleasant dreams, my friends. One's sticking. So pleasant dreams, my friends, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. Well, there is a first time for everything. Today, yesterday was my first time making ciabatta, and I will tell you, someone has already tasted one of the ciabatta, and it was delicious. So now, my other new experience is going to be panini. So I have my Cuisinart griddler here. Now this was a gift from my friends Vicky and Alban. It used to belong to Alban's mother. And I want to set this to grill and sear. And then I need to cut. Well, Lizette was not here yesterday while I was filming, but she is here today. So, are you going to have a panini with me?
Yes.
Good. Now look at the big pockets in this. It's not panini yet, it's ciabatta. So I told you that we had that big rainstorm here last week. That was pretty frightening. We had over 11 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. My house was pretty much okay. I had a leak in the dining room, and I had a few leaks in my office, but the contractor came and fixed all of that right away. Lizette's family home, on the other hand, had some serious water damage. So how many buckets of water did you say you took out?
Oh, I think we hauled like close to somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 gallons.
And you said you were doing that, and then you looked, and it was as if you had removed no water.
Yes.
It just kept coming up from the ground.
And then we had the pumps going, the shop vacs going. It felt like never ending for 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours straight. So, but everything's much better now. So.
Good.
Yes.
Good. We are so happy. Just grabbing my panini ingredients over here. And by the way, to everyone who left a message on the YouTube community board, we are grateful. Thank you for your thoughts.
And prayers.
And prayers, and your good wishes.
Oh, that looks yummy. What is that?
Yeah, that's the pesto. I made this yesterday.
That looks yummy.
I went out to the garden and harvested a lot of basil and made pesto. And let's see, we're going to mix some of this pesto with mayonnaise. Now, there must be a million different ingredients to use for panini, but this is what I'm using today. And this pesto smells just wonderful. I'm not sure how much I want to use. We'll have to experiment. Look at that beautiful green color. And I'm going to, what do I want to do? Now, I need to butter the outside of this ciabatta. And I think I better do that on a plate. This way the ciabatta will become very crisp. Now we can add the mayo pesto combination. Spread it about. I don't think I've ever had a panini in my life, let alone ever made one. Have you had panini, Lizette?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Okay.
This looks yummy.
Well, I hope it is yummy. Of course, with these ingredients, how could it not be yummy? Wipe my hands, and then, let's see. I have some turkey here from the deli. Then I have some mozzarella cheese. My dog Avery is at my side because 2 ingredients she loves here, turkey and mozzarella. Actually, how much mozzarella do I want? Maybe I don't want more than that. And my griddler light has turned green. I don't know if you can see that. And it will take 5 to 6 minutes to finish the panini. So I'm going to put my ingredients away. Oh my goodness. I'm going to turn this off. Look at the wonderful lines of caramelization on this ciabatta. And the cheese has melted. The smell is heavenly. So the griddler heats from both the top and the bottom, so you don't have to flip the panini. But look at all of this beautiful melty cheese. And of course, I can link this griddler in the description box below if you are interested. I've used this for grilling chicken breasts and chicken thighs and hamburgers. But today was the first time for panini. So shall we try this, Lizette?
Yes.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
It's still really hot, I have to warn you. Oh my, love, love, love the crisp, the super crisp ciabatta. And I adore the fragrant pesto mixed with mayo. Of course, deli turkey, what can you say? It's good. And the mozzarella cheese.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is delicious.
I think I'm going to work on my ciabatta making skills some more. Even though these turned out great, I think I can do a better job on shaping the rolls. And next time I make the rolls, I will certainly make more panini. And I recently learned that panino is the singular of panini. So thank you for joining me yesterday as we made the ciabatta and we tackled some other house and garden chores. And thank you for joining me today as we made the panini, or two individual panino, as the case may be. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will give it a thumbs up, and I hope you will subscribe and post a comment below because I adore hearing from you. In the next video, I'm planning another thrifting or antiquing adventure, and I hope you will join me. Until then, please treat yourself very, very well, and I can't wait to see you again. Bye for now, friends. Lizette, I think we should finish these on the front porch.
I think so too.
Good, off we go. Bye-bye, friends.